welcome to Capital Conversations. And we have Srikanth Iyer with us. He's the CEO and founder of HomeLane, which is an interior decor, interior design company based out of Bangalore. And prior to this, he was the CEO of Pearson India. And, HomeLane has been a brand capital, investee company for the last 6 years, 5 or 6 years in between.
5 years, yeah.
5 years. And, we've seen nothing to almost 60 crores a month in orders just before COVID, 50 crores, and they were at a 600 crore annual run rate. Now, obviously, Srikanth will talk a little bit more about how COVID has affected their numbers and the outlook going forward. So, Srikanth, welcome. Thank you for taking the time. So we have, members of both Brand Capital and Response with us. So, I'll just jump into some of the questions that we have, and we'll have a 25 minutes chit chat first, and then followed by 20 minutes of Q&A, where the audience will, ask some questions, and we'll try and finish this before 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
So first, I wanted just your overall thoughts and perspectives of COVID on the real estate and, interior design and consumer services space, and how do you think the consumer behavior has changed since this, lockdown started?
First of all, thanks. Happy to be here and chat. It's always fun to do this, and especially good fun to know that it's one of the last meetings on Friday. So, you have the weekend coming up, but with work from home, I guess there's a little bit of a blur between the weekdays and the weekends nowadays. So it's really, you can't differentiate.
We have one more meeting to go, so we are not as lucky as you are.
No, so do I, but I'm saying at least there's only one more to go, is what I meant.
Yeah.
But yeah, good to be here and happy to share my thoughts. I guess, we are all in this together, and we should use each other's experiences to as much benefit each other, so that, we can get out of this hopefully soon, and with the least amount of injuries to businesses and us personally. So anyway, for sure there has been a change in consumer behavior. I don't think there is any doubt about it. The way that I look at it is, I look at the change in consumer behavior on an axis. I look at something which is short term. I look at consumer behavior changes which are more long term. To give you an example, short term would be, people for the next 1 year would not like any services which involve contact, right? For example. Long term can be that people have realized during like 90 days of lockdown that, I can actually survive without, I don't know, the Gucci's and, some of the expensive stuff that I was buying. And the percentage of them may start buying less. But I must caveat that, I don't know if some of you have seen some of the China figures. China's actually talking about quote unquote revenge shopping, which is supposedly started, which is that people have been bottled up for the last 3-4 months. So they've come back, and with a bang, they've gone, and so there's been a little bit of a spike in some of the consumer brands. But I believe that in a country like ours, I believe that there'll be a longish after effect of this, at least for the very, very high-end brands which are in the top end of the space. So that I look at it on one axis as short-term and long-term, and the other axis as primary order effects and secondary order effects. And let me give you an example of maybe from the interior decor industry. So primary order effects again are something like people will start buying more home office furniture, because they're spending more time at home, and they are looking at augmenting the way that they work, making it much more easier, etc. Right? That's one piece. The secondary order effect is, for example, is that the number of SKUs in interior design are drastically going to drop. Why is that? Price points are going to reduce. People are not going to be spending as much as they did like 6 months ago. So price points will reduce. If you mean price points will reduce, automatically number of SKUs need to reduce. Otherwise, price points cannot drop.
Yes.
So the secondary order effect is that price points are going to drop. So that's the axis that I look at, and a lot of the stuff that examples that I probably give you may come from that. I mean, obvious real estate, we all know that new launches have slowed down. But for an industry like interiors, we are not bothered about new launches at the moment. We are bothered about handovers at the moment. So the launches that happened 2 to 3 years ago are the ones that are relevant to us now. So that way we are safe at least for the next 1 or 2 years. And the way that I am de-risking this for HomeLane, for example, is our focus was fully on new homes before and not much on renovation. But now going forward, I am going to focus on renovation also, because in the next 1 year or so, inventory of new homes is going to dry up. And at that point in time, I want renovation to be a reasonable chunk of our business. Just to give you one idea of some of the change that is there in the market. So that's the broad market change. Consumer behavior itself, very clearly, I think they're looking at contact-based services not being very, they're not very looking forward to it at all. I think we all saw, right? One Swiggy guy got COVID positive about 2 months ago. The next day, Swiggy's business or any delivery business dropped by 30% the next day. So people are wary. They are not wanting to have any contact-based services. I think there is really no doubt about it. Some of the other things
I think the important point you made is that your real estate outlook more is like, if the real estate going down will affect your business 2 years from now, today's business is based on handovers, and anybody who has already got possession during the lockdown or just before the lockdown, those works have started.
That's correct. Yeah. That's one piece of it. But purely from a consumer, again, behavior point of view, DIY products are picking up steam. I can tell you one thing, I can guarantee you this, whatever may happen, right? We have had 2.5 months of lockdown. If you don't see a baby boom in December 2020, I'll change my name. Okay? And we are actually increasing our baby range of products in HomeLane, because clearly that's one area where there is going to be, I mean, this is, if you actually, there is actually, IKEA has already started doing it in Europe, because they're saying this is obvious and it is going to happen. So, so those are some of the trends that I am visualizing. The other big one, as I'm seeing it, is that customers will prefer formats of stores which are smaller format than larger format. That's at least what I believe. Just like how malls are going to be less popular, at least in the short term, than the smaller stores, because you get in and get out very quickly, and you go you don't have too many people to interact with, etc. The same way, people are also, I can very clearly tell you that they're going to prefer smaller format stores, like maybe 1,000 to 5,000 square feet stores, rather than going to larger malls and basically shopping there, simply because they're going to increase their risk of
getting a disease.
Of getting a disease. We are also looking at some positives, but I'll come to that. I think we're talking. I'm going 2 steps ahead, but I do think that every crisis is an opportunity in disguise, and I'll talk about that too a little bit.
Sure. In terms of revenue, I know we just talked about in the beginning that you were at a 600 crore run rate, and you told me that in April it dropped to 120 annual run rate, 120 crores, and then you went up to 240 crores in May. How do you see this June and going forward, and when do you think you will get to the pre-COVID levels? What's your estimate of how this industry will behave?
So as far as HomeLane is concerned, yeah, you're right. We were at about 600 crore run rate in January, February. And like you said, we did drop. And even though the whole country was shut down in April, all of April, full month was completely shut down, right? Nothing was open. We still managed to do about 10 crores for that month. And we managed to do about double that in May, and I'm looking to again increase that by 50% this month. So I'm looking to get to about 360 crore run rate by end of June, and I'm reasonably confident that we will get there. I am looking at these. I think the way that I'm looking at this is no point in looking at the business as all India or even all Bangalore. You have to look at it as micro markets really. Even if I'm looking at a Mumbai today, a Thane is behaving is different. The rules are different than in a greater Mumbai or a Goregaon, etc. Because the effect of Corona has been different in these two places. So you need to focus on the micro market and actually see what you can get out of that particular micro market. Each micro market behaves a little bit differently depending on whether it's a red zone or a green zone or one of the containment zones, etc. Obviously, it's a containment zone. You can forget about it. But I think that's the way that we are splitting it down, going at to a granular level and then going after the consumer. But I can tell you one thing, I can clearly see that demand is coming back. Just to give you an idea, at peak, when we did meetings for getting to a 50 crore order book, we had done about 3,400 to 3,500 meetings in a month to get to that number. Last month, we did about half of that. We did about 1,800 meetings. I'm talking about May. So clearly, customers are willing to meet. They are not willing to meet physically, and I'll come to that again during the innovation piece. But customers are willing to meet because we are thankfully in an industry which is in the must-have bucket. People have already spent 50 lakhs, 75 lakhs, 1 crore on their apartment. They can't afford to not do up their apartment. I mean, I keep talking. So thankfully, we are in a place where it's a kind of an essential. It's not one of those discretionary purchases because they're paying EMI and they're paying rent right now and they can't afford to pay both. So they want to stop paying rent, and that they can only stop paying rent if they do up their house. So we are definitely seeing demand coming back and people taking decisions. I think the fact that we have moved from 120 crore to 240 crore and hopefully this month touchwood to 360 crore run rate itself proves that demand is slowly but surely coming back. To your second question on how long do I expect this to take, I wish, I don't know whether even Mr. Modi can answer this question, but if you ask me, it will take at least 6 months to get back to somewhere near pre-COVID levels. So I don't expect it to get to pre-COVID levels at least till the end of this calendar year.
Okay. So that's what you see, that maybe by December, Jan, you'll get to pre-COVID levels.
Yes.
Got it. Now, I know you have a set of marquee investors on your cap table. How have they viewed this crisis and how is their behavior during these last 80 or 90 days versus what was there before in both board meetings as well as in your regular meetings with them?
So I must say that this would change depending on the age and stage of the company. So that's one caveat we have to make. We are a Series D company and we are reasonably steady. Obviously, we were at a 50 crore per month run rate before COVID happened. So it depends on the size, like I said, the age and stage of the company. So for us, it actually has been a reasonably good support simply because we are not very far from profitability, EBITDA profitability as an organization, which is somewhat of a magic word now. It was a bad word 6 months ago, but it's not so bad anymore. But yeah, we're quite close to EBITDA profitability. So we're clearly seeing like the Axle and Sequoia, both of them are on our cap table, Vish, as you know.
Yeah.
So we're clearly seeing good support. But overall, what I've seen is the risk-taking ability clearly has gone down. People want to just wait and watch because this is again like a waterfall, right? The people who are LPs are also wary and they are waiting and watching. So everybody is waiting and watching. So the flow of the equity is not happening as much as it used to before or as fast as it used to before, simply because people are waiting and watching. This is a once in a generation or once in a century kind of a event. So nobody has any experience on this. So everybody is like learning on the go.
Which is what we are also seeing because, the funding has dried and maybe for the leaders, it's still there that they can tap into. But, regular Series A, Series B funding is not so active as it used to be maybe last year.
Yeah. No, clearly, I mean, I can tell you for ourselves, we are raising a top-up round and we are doing the documentation right now. So people clearly, that's like proof of the pudding. If people are signing a check, that they can't get more proof than that. So there is support, but I do think that companies which were in high burn or even gross margin level burn situation, they're going to find it difficult to raise money is what I think. But I do believe that things will change again for positively in the next 6 months. I think the next 3 to 6 months are going to be, very, very picky investing. They're only going to go into segments like education and essentials and agriculture and a few segments like that, which have been positively impacted by COVID.
Yeah, even
And
healthcare to a certain extent, yes.
Healthcare, yeah, kind of mixed bag, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Some of the contactless
yeah,
services, yes.
Correct.
So in terms of, all businesses are facing heavy losses in the past 80, 90 days, lack of revenues, and, people have done some drastic steps like job cuts and pay cuts. And how have you managed this at HomeLane?
So let me tell you from a business angle and then from a people angle. Let me start with the business angle first. So first thing I said was, you know what? This is obviously something that nobody expected, but let's try and look at the silver lining in the really dark cloud that we're seeing right now. And we did see some silver linings. Let me give you an idea. We have this platform called Spacecraft, which we use to meet customers virtually and design their homes for them. Right? We used to have it even before, but out of 3,500 meetings a month, only 350 of them used to meet us virtually. The rest of the 3,000 wanted to meet physically because they want touch and feel. They want to see the the material and all of that. It completely flipped at when lockdown happened. Obviously, during April, that's why we did 10 crores because all the meetings were only virtual. We could not meet anyone physically, even if we wanted to. But customers were actually deciding based on meeting a designer virtually and placing the order. When at least India was under total lockdown, which was what I think 22nd March or 23rd March or something like that, till May 4th. After that, it's been easing out a little bit. In that period, we have done 20 crores of business in that 45-day odd period, right? Which is unheard of. I mean, because nobody could go out and meet anyone else. We have done this without meeting a single individual and or ourselves for that matter. So I think one is that. Two is at a product level, we saw that there was a lot of opportunity to add new stuff. I already spoke about home office. I spoke about baby boom, baby products, right?
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
stuff like laptop stands. Believe it or not, all of us today. One day I'm sitting on my table, the next day I'm sitting on the bed, the third day I'm thrown to the dining table. I'm sure it's the same situation for all of us, right? So if I can keep my laptop in a comfortable, small kind of a stand, which I can place anywhere, either on a table or on my lap, and so my neck does not have to, believe me, it's a super hot selling product right now. And there are so many options. So it's a question of, you need to think about what is the opportunity that's there on the other side. Obviously, there are going to be challenges. Exercise table is one. We are coming out with this product, by the way. All of us are sitting and working all day from home. And I don't know about you. I mean, the 40 days, the one thing that I missed was the cycling and the tennis that I used to play every day. And I just could not do that. And I was feeling, unhealthy and, all of those fat and all of those things, being guilty to eat and stuff like that, right? So we're looking at coming up with an exercise, sit, work, and, kind of cycle during when you're working, because at least you burn off some calories and you feel less guilty about it at the end of the day. Same way, standing and working. So, you can either, the same table, you can make it a standing table or a sitting table kind of thing. So those
adjustable,
are the
basically. Yeah.
That you need to think about. They may start small, but believe me, each one of them will add up and can be, because this is the future. I mean, you have to accept that this is what the world is going to be, at least for the next 1 year, and you have to work with that. So I believe that that's on the business side. Now let me come on the people side. That's obviously far more tougher, and we've all undergone huge losses, etc. So So I came up with this centralized theme across our stakeholders. The theme was very simple. We all need to share the pain. The pain is caused by Corona and to the business is too heavy for any one stakeholder. Neither the investor, nor the management, nor only the employees, nor the vendors can share this single-handedly. Everyone needs to share the pain. So we went around 360 degree. We unfortunately obviously had to do some job cuts. We let go of about 25% of our staff. But I did it early so that I could pay them a little bit more than what I could do in normal circumstances. I did this in early April itself. When I knew that I saw this coming, I didn't wait till even May. So this much earlier. All of us have taken pay cuts, starting from me up to like 70% of the organization. We've all taken deep cuts. But what I did was I went to the investors and told the investors, you know what? I need to replace this cash with stocks. So you know what? That's the right thing to do. So you guys are also our shareholders. So you would have seen that we have diluted a little bit because we have given those stocks away for people who are missing out on cash options, because that is the right fair thing to do. And everyone has to share the load.
Pool, right? You increase the ESOP pool, I think.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So that is really the way that we are looking at, sharing. We called up obviously all our landlords and told them, you know what, we have to share this. We cannot take the pain totally for you, nor can you take the whole pain. So we kind of came to an arrangement where during lockdown, after lockdown, this much discount and all of those. Some of them didn't agree, and we are vacating those premises. I mean, there is no other way. I mean, it has to be a fair deal for everyone. So that's really how we have, that I've at least handled it. The second thing that I've done is I've over-communicated during this. Normally, I have town halls within my organization once in 3 months, where I appraise them of what's going on in the company. I've been having one once in 3 weeks now, simply because people are anxious. They don't know. And, there's job losses, the job cut, the pay cuts, and so on and so forth, right? So people will become more and more apprehensive. So it's important to over-communicate during these times. At least that's what I feel.
So basically, the summary is share the pain and communicate often, clearly and often. Yeah. Now, in terms of what do you think is advertising's role is going to be in, emerging as a front runner post the COVID world, and especially for you and your business?
So again, so two things. One is, I think, you can't escape brand building. I mean, it will lie low for some time. I do see that next 3 to 6 months, I don't think people are going to be able to afford to spend too much of money on brand building. But I do think that beyond that, it's just going to come back with as much vigor as it was pre-COVID. I don't see anybody building a big business without building a big brand. So pretty much it's inevitable that people start spending on advertising, either as a call to action or for brand building. Very, very, I'd see a 3 to 6 months window from now where there will be a little bit of a lull. But after that, I think it will come back. Point number one. Point number two, I also think the ad agencies and the media agencies like yourselves also need to start thinking out of the box, because the old rules don't apply anymore, according to me. I mean, you know what, this is what it is. I'll give you a couple of examples. For example, we are moving office to one of the shared office spaces, and we are not even paying them rent. We are actually doing up 2 of their offices in exchange for using their office for a certain period of time. So now the old rules don't hold anymore. It's a brand new world. It's the post-COVID world. I call it before COVID and after COVID, BC and AC. So AC is completely new rules. No old rules are there anymore. So you really need to be creative about it. I do think that the more creative you can be, everybody has to take the risk, and only then business will happen at scale. I think clearly the old rules are not going to hold anymore. We all need to start becoming creative about how we're going to be doing business.
Point understood. So, I know there is a lot of weight behind the word creativity and, all that, and we'll go into the detail later. But in terms of, just going forward in your industry, because there are only 2 or 3 big players, and we have seen some investments from people like Pidilite and Asian Paints who are trying to extend their value-added services and reach into the consumer. How do you see that playing out? And do you see a consolidation between some of the larger players and people like you? This more as a shareholder, I'm asking.
So it's too early to say. I think currently everybody is busy solving their main business problem. Really, nobody's worried about, I mean, Pidilite is surely not worried about Homeless problem today. I can tell you that, because they have their own problem to worry about, which is a much bigger problem. They are a 6,000 crore revenue company with a 25% EBITDA. So they are more worried about protecting that turf than worrying about a 600 crore company right now. So which is not even, they are not the main shareholder. So but it's an interesting question, and I think the next 1 year the answers will be out. I do feel that this is a good time for consolidation, not only with the older and newer players, but even with the newer players. And I'm not hinting anything here, please. I'm just giving you a blanket statement, because I do think that when the times are like these, there's a lot of flux, and when there's a lot of flux, anything can happen. So that's really the point that I'm making. And people become suddenly more open than they were 6 months ago, because now the whole world has changed and everybody, is fighting a bigger war. And ye chota mota to matlab kuch nahi hai. I mean, this is all very small. It's now feels like kids play, compared to what we are all fighting right now. So I do think that there is a good opportunity, not only in our industry, but I think this is true for all industries, for not only the older and newer players to merge or to kind of consolidate, but also some of the newer players where it makes sense, obviously, commercial sense to consolidate. I do think it's definitely possible.
So just a last question before I throw open to the audience. I think there are a couple of questions that have come up. My last question is, what is the one thing that you would say you've learned as an entrepreneur in the last 80, 90 days that you would want us to imbibe or, look deeply into?
Sure. So I've been on my own. Just to give you a little more background, which maybe but I've been pretty much on my own now. This is my 27th year as an entrepreneur. This is my 4th startup. So it's not my first gig or something like that. So I've seen all kinds of businesses. Even before businesses were called startups, I was doing business, so to speak. So I've seen one of the things people ask me, what is that one characteristic that you see in a leader or in a CEO or in a founder, which you think is, is he the most talented guy from a marketing angle or from technology angle or from finance or something like that? I don't think any of that is required. I think the single biggest characteristic that I have seen, at least, which kind of beats everything else to pulp, is perseverance, right? It is really perseverance. That's the single biggest characteristic, as far as I'm concerned, that overcomes everything. I mean, I'm a big fan of this. I'm sure you've all heard this before. Run when you can, walk when you have to, crawl if you must, but just never give up, right? So that's something which I have really believed in. Right now, all of us are crawling, but it's fine. I mean, we have to. There is no choice. We have to crawl. But there will come a time when we can walk and then run. So I think that perseverance is the one single characteristic that I see separates the men from the boys as far as successes are concerned. I mean, even the all-time great Steve Jobs, I think we all know, right? I mean, he was thrown out of his own company, came back when it had a $1 billion negative EBITDA in 1 year, and obviously he's taken it from there to here now. But that just shows that it is perseverance which is the single biggest one. I mean, you may have the best of ideas, you may be the best of entrepreneurs, but unless you keep trying, you don't know when this is going to click. And the single biggest one to me is perseverance.
Yeah, some question, but Partha, would you like to ask, or should I just go to the list?
Yeah. I wanted to ask one thing to Srikanth. Srikanth, like in your category, consumer has to commit money, right? It's not usually not a very, very small. I mean, one, like laptop stand is fine, but the thing that you're telling that people are paying EMI as well as rent, so they have to now. All of a sudden, for the first time, we are seeing there is a serious volatility even in the salary market. People are not too sure whether they'll have their job. People are not too sure whether they'll earn the same thing. So do you think there would be a problem with committed expenditure in the short to medium run?
I think it depends again on which category you're talking about. If you're talking about our category, I can tell you, I can actually give you actual statistics. Our normal cancellation rate during pre-COVID times was under 2% per month.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning if 100 people booked, less than 2 people would cancel over the next 3 months because kuch ho gaya. I mean, something happened, they changed their mind, they got transferred, blah, blah, blah. Post-COVID numbers or during COVID, we are not yet post-COVID. So during COVID numbers, the numbers are still under 5%. They have gone up for sure, but they're still at manageable levels. I mean, now there is more volatility in the market. It will show up, right? So there is no question about it. So that's the first point. The second point is it depends on which part of the market you're playing, I think, right? Are more people going to buy homes? I probably think not. I think people are going to wait till they are clear that they want to make a big purchase decision. But at the same time, if you've already made the decision to buy the home and you're getting a delivery of it, which are my customers, they have no choice but to spend the 5 to 10 lakhs. They may not spend, they may have thought of spending 10, now they may spend 7, but they have no choice but to spend that 7 lakhs, which is why we are actually seeing customers taking the decision even now. Again, if we do 100 meetings, previously we used to convert 20 of them into orders. That 100 to 20 has now dropped from 200 to 16 in COVID times, but it's still not off the charts. I mean, okay, we can live with this, if you know what I mean. Third data point is, I had an anecdote. It's anecdotal. It's not a data point, but it's, I think, very, very pointedly answers your question. Last week, we had a customer who actually lost his job on last Monday, and booked the order with us the same day after he lost the job. Simply, again, because he cannot pay EMI and rent at the same time. Even though he lost his job, he booked the order with us simply because he wanted to move in ASAP into his house and stop paying rent. So, if anything, it accelerated his decision, if anything else. So, it was actually a shocking thing for us because, that something like this happened. But I think it says that you cannot postpone some decisions. I mean, at least economically, it will play against you. So that's our category.
Average home size, home price is usually what, 75 lakhs to a crore?
Our average is about 60 to 70 lakhs. Average.
60 to 70 lakhs. Yeah. Rajesh, I think you had a question.
Yeah. Shrikant, in your category, because it is a local level physical service category, it's not a product category like IKEA. Okay, so going forward, ultimately you see national level plays happening in this or regional level plays happening in this. Like IKEA is product company, so it is having global level play. And so that is part one of my question. Part two of the question is that, again, going forward, ultimately you see service business like yours growing more rapidly, or product business like IKEA growing more rapidly, that the products become so efficient that you don't need to do the servicing actually?
Yeah. So, I think it's a wonderful opportunity for a national level play. That's the reason why we started HomeLane. And I'm sure there are other players like LiveSpace and Design Cafe and a few others. I'm sure you know of them, who are all trying to do similar stuff. So clearly, I think that this is a business which can scale, become pan-India. 70% of our business is product, 30% of it is service. But in our business, it's a classic case of the tail wagging the dog. The service quality will determine the customer's experience, right? I'm not saying product quality does not, but product quality is kind of taken as hygiene. I mean, it's matlab ye to aana hi tha, ye to acha quality hona hi hai. But the service quality is what is determining the customer experience. So that's what is the issue with only product today. So you can do DIY in many categories. There's no doubt about it. But you also cannot do DIY in many categories. Like kitchen, for example, we are just talking about one of the kitchen is like 50% of our business today. You cannot do DIY in kitchen. It's impossible. I mean, it's too complicated for somebody to. But what can be done is what we are doing now. Is previously we used to go and assemble the kitchen in the customer's house. You know what we're doing now? We are assembling it in the factory, transporting it assembled. And instead of taking 1 week to assemble it in the customer's house, now we are taking 1 day to assemble it in the customer's house. So that's where you're obviously reducing it by 85% in terms of contact, so to speak, right? Thankfully for us, we were always focused on new homes. Because we are focused on new homes, there's nobody living there yet. So the contact piece is not so much a problem for us. But when we do renovations, it is going to be an issue. I mean, going back to your question.
Shrikant, I have a question for you. Shrikant, hi, this is Sameer. I have a question for you. In India, a lot of people still go for getting a carpenter to come and do a furniture customized to the requirement of the house. Do you think that segment is dead for now? And will this mean that this segment of interiors and home decor is going to get organized with more and more stores coming up?
So I'm hoping so. Aapke muh mein ghee shakkar. But here's what I really believe. So we are kind of in the middle of the pyramid, if you take it as the pyramid, where you have high-end players like, named and branded architects like, Suzanne Khan or, I don't know, people like that. And then you have branded players like us who are serving the middle class. And then you have the unorganized. Obviously, unorganized is 85% of the market even today. Was 85% of the market. Let me say that. We believe, and I really believe this, that over the next 1 year, people are not going to be comfortable with carpenters coming and living in their house for weeks on end. And so it's like, again, contact. Where is the contactless? It's the exact opposite of contactless, right? So I think people are going to move away from that, will pay a premium to come to players like us. At least that's what I'm hoping. On the other hand, I'm seeing that price points are dropping. And people today, if you had bought a house in Mumbai and you wanted to rent it out and you are going to spend 20 lakhs on it, you'll say, "Arey yaar, thoda sa abhi," one of my friends said it correctly. He said, we are all started feeling poor. We are not really become poor, but we are feeling poor now because we are suddenly thinking, "Arey yaar, maine to itna bachaya hai, kafi hai kya?" I mean, this is the fact of life. This is true for everyone, by the way, right? So what if I would have spent 15 lakhs on it? I'd probably spend 10 lakhs on it. Arey yaar, theek hai yaar, rent hi to kar raha hu main. Why should I? Let me just get something done. So I would probably go to a player again like us, hopefully, when you are looking at going to a high-end architect. So we believe that we are kind of in the right place at the right time, so to speak. Time will tell, but but I do believe this.
Thank you.
So Shrikant, there's couple of questions from the audience. One is on, are you actively seeking alliances with leading builders to provide ready-to-move-in homes? And do you think there is a market for you in this space?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. I think there is a market in this space. I think given that customers are going to prefer less and less contact, as much of it is productized, the better. So people bundling kitchens and wardrobes are going to increase in the near future. There's no doubt about that. We already are working with quite a few builders. We don't do B2B, but we do B2B2C right now. We will continue to do that. Because we do believe that we need to personalize it to every customer's taste. We are finally a consumer brand. We want to be a consumer brand and a consumer company. So we are already working with builders, many of them, where we use them as a channel to reach out to customers. But yeah, this segment is going to increase in the next year or so. Very clearly, there is no doubt about it. And we are clearly set our eyes on it. Again, I don't know if any of you know, one of the things that HomeLane stands for is predictability. So our brand promise is we will turn around your home in 45 days. Otherwise, we'll pay you rent for your house. That's our brand promise. I think stuff like that, where there is predictability and an assurance, will augur well with the middle class audiences, because for them, time is money. I mean, again, like I said, they can't be EMI and rent at the same time. So stuff like that, I think, is going to be useful even for builders. For them, timeline is going to be a very, very important criteria to make a decision. So hopefully we should do more of this.
And are you looking at innovations in your space? Like, some of the examples given here are, are you looking at financing the expense with someone like Bajaj Finance, or, even looking at augmented reality for showcasing the finished products, which I think you do already, but are you
Yes.
looking at any financing options for people who
So we
want
already do financing also. So about 15% of customers today, pre-COVID again, used to avail of the finance option. That's because most customers top up their home loan. It's cheaper for them to top up their home loan than take it from outside because they're paying more interest if they take it from any NBFC. So, but we are already offering, we already give them 2 to 3 options of NBFCs for doing up their home interiors. And I expect that 15% to go up to about 30% in the next 3 to 4 months.
Yeah, and that is consumer's choice, or you ask them to do that?
It's consumer's choice. So if they want, we give them, we introduce them to all of them, and we let them deal directly. We do not, for us, as far as we get our money, we don't take any risk. Hi, Sammy, how are you?
Yeah, Sammy has just joined us. Hi,
Hi,
Sammy. We have Srikanth here.
hi, Srikanth. I'm sorry I got stuck on another call, UK call. That this is the only time
That's fine.
Sorry about it. Hi, Srikanth. Go
That's
ahead.
fine. You can make up and buy me a drink once all this is over.
Well, buy you 2 drinks for that.
All right.
So I think there's another question about global cooperation, Srikanth. Are you seeing, because of AR, VR, that you have international designers looking at India market, so like a design abroad, execute in India happening now? Have you seen that, or you see that going forward?
Not yet. I think we as a brand are more focused, like I told you, on the real middle of the market or the middle class segment. So we are still very, very much focused on that, where we are not expecting to cater to the high end of the market. I mean, I believe that you need different kind of engines to run those 2 machines. They're very different machines. Making a interior design project for 50 lakhs and for 5 lakhs is not 10x. It's about 100x more in terms of complexity. So you can't do it with the same company even, in my opinion. So we are very focused on doing more cookie cutter, more scalable and more profitable solutions, which we believe we are doing now. We want to do more of that at scale. So we are not really looking at this segment at the moment.
Now, since you've been an entrepreneur in both education and home interiors, which one is more challenging or has been challenging for you?
So if you had asked me this question 6 years ago, I would have told you hands down education, because I was in education till then. Now I can tell you hands down it's home interiors, because business is easy. We all know that each one comes with its own challenges. But I think, as an entrepreneur, I both loathe these challenges 50% of the time, and I love these challenges the other 50% of the time. So it's a kind of, it's what keeps us going, I guess. At least it's what keeps me going. And I'm looking forward to solving this even at a larger scale. I'm very much looking forward in the next 3 to 6 months to come back to pre-COVID levels, hopefully, and then scaling from there. But to me, they're very different businesses. Education is, again, a must-have. Even though it's B2C, you have no choice but to send your child to school. So it's just a question of whose school you send to and what product you buy. And in Indian culture, it's very, very serious stuff. And every parent spends a high percentage of disposable income on education. I think lots of shining examples today in the market for that. This one is a little bit different. I think the market is personalization. I think there is a genuine pain point. There is a lack of service here. Previously, I don't know how many of you have gotten your house done from carpenters. I have. So when you get into a deal, you know you're going to get cheated. It's only a question of how much you're going to get cheated. So that was the standard kind of benchmark. So we are trying to change that. So very different kind of missions in both the businesses, but I've enjoyed. I mean, I spent 14 years in education. I'm only 6 years old here. A long way to go still. So I'm looking.
So there is a recency effect, you can say, because this is much more fresher than 14 years ago or 6 years ago. Now, there are a couple of questions on just the average ticket size, and are you seeing less customization and more, what I call standardized items and lesser SKUs? Are you seeing that in the last 2 months?
So average ticket size actually has remained more or less flat. I was expecting it to reduce a little bit, but it has not reduced yet. I expect it to reduce though. Over the next 3 to 6 months, I expect the ASP to go down a little bit. average selling price to go down a little bit. But surprisingly, there has been a shift in products in terms of spend. People are spending more on kitchens now than they used to before. People have never spent so much time in their kitchen in their entire life put together as much as they have in the last 4 months. So people are suddenly realizing, "Arey, mujhe to or I need more storage. I need some more nice appliances. My cutter is so bad. My all my appliances need an upgrade," kind of thing. So that's something which people are seeing. So they're spending more on something like a kitchen and less on a few other categories. Also, if you think about it, all of us have definitely, at least for essentials, we have begun to hoard in the last 4 months, which we were not doing before because we didn't have this thing that something is going to get over, either rice or wheat or whatever it may be. But suddenly now, instead of buying 1 kilo, we are buying 2 kilos. Translate to, you need more storage space, so you need to spend more on storage in the kitchen. So it kind of, we are seeing a little bit of movement within the products, but the overall ASP has remained constant.
So more on necessity, less on vanity.
Correct.
Yeah. And Sammy had a question. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Vish. My question is along the same lines as what you're talking about. Now, people like me, not Vish, because Vish still had help throughout the lockdown. People like me are spending more time inside our kitchen. Okay, there's a lot of people who never went inside their kitchen are spending time inside their kitchen. It's making us think. My kitchen needs a lot of work, I can tell you. So for me to use now, probably post-COVID, I will never go there again. But I'll probably invest 20 lakhs to improve it and probably never go there again. But the point is, this is going to create a spurt in demand. So let's say I want Poke and Po. Okay, let's say I want bathhouse. I can't have it in India through Homelane. My question to you is, something is happening in New Jersey. A friend of mine invested in a company. Architects and designers are working through a company like yours, Shrikant. So Homelane gives a Poke and Po kitchen, or Homelane gives a Rajesh Sharma branded kitchen type thing. Are you thinking in that direction, so you become the OEM for the last mile of top global brands to come into Indian kitchens?
Frankly, are we looking at aggregating other brands and being a kind of a channel? No, we are not. Because our target focus, again, going back, Sammy, like what I was saying, is the middle class. And the middle class is not going to look at high-end brands, any of the ones that you said. They want good stuff, like we say in India, sasta, sundar, tikau, right? It should look good. It needs to last me for a long time. It can't be very, very expensive. If these three criteria are met, you've got the magic, you've got it right. So that's really the focus that we are looking at. So, okay. But what we're trying to do is a little bit differently from what you said. So 2 points. One is, take your own kitchen, right? You want to upgrade it, but let's look at it logically. You cannot upgrade your whole kitchen at one shot. You still need to use it. And for the next 1 year, you have to use at least parts of it. So we are looking at places where we can do upgrades module wise. You have a module where you cook. I'll only upgrade your cooking module like in 2 days. I'll only upgrade your cutting module or your cleaning module in like 2 days. And you can do it at all different times. You don't have to do it at the same time. So then I'm also catering to your budget. You don't need to spend 5 lakhs at a time. You can spend 1 lakh, 5 times, and you can spend it through like 2 years time. And you're also having a less messy a problem to solve it from a home. So that's one thing that we're doing. The second thing that we're doing is we have a product. I don't think you were there that time. We have a virtual interior design collaboration platform called Spacecraft. So we are throwing it open to any architect anywhere who can use it like a SaaS product and they do their own. If they want us to fulfill, we charge them extra for it. Otherwise, they only pay us a fee for using our software platform. That's about it, like a SaaS. So fulfillment is optional on top. So we are looking at a couple of models like that, which I believe are more suited for a country like ours, because the market that we are not focusing on the high end of the market. We are clearly focusing on the middle of the market, and we just want to be clear on the solutions that are more relevant to those.
Got it. Got it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Srikanth. I think we've come to the end of a session as I promised at the beginning, 4:55. So, we're right on time. And thank you for taking the time. It was wonderful speaking to you and listening to what you're doing with your business and how do you see things going forward. And thanks again, and look forward to meeting you soon. Bangalore, the lockdown is lifted, so we'll meet soon. Okay.
Definitely. Nice.
Thank you, Srikanth.
Thanks. Good to see you.
Thank you, Srikanth.
Logging in.
Thank you, Srikanth. Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks.